Welcome to Biblical Theology Today. I'm Judd. Today's chapter in the Hebrew Bible is Genesis 1. What I want us to do is to use Logos, and the first thing we'll do is listen to Genesis 1:1 read, and this is Logos recording audio Hebrew and New Testament in Hebrew. That's the module we'll use. I have here ACOT, the Analytical Key to the Old Testament by John Owens. I have this linked so that as we read, it will scroll together. What we'll do is I'll follow along here. We'll read the whole chapter. It takes about 5 minutes. Then we'll make some comments on biblical theology. We'll look at a few things. And then at the final portion of the video, we'll go through and translate this line by line. We may talk a little about some of the textual variants as well. Hope you enjoy this. So let's dive in. And we'll listen to this read in Hebrew, and I'll follow along with the cursor.
בראשית. בראשית, פרק א'. בראשית ברא אלוהים את השמיים ואת הארץ, והארץ הייתה תוהו ובוהו וחושך על פני תהום, ורוח אלוהים מרחפת על פני המים. ויאמר אלוהים,
יהי אור.
ויהי אור. וירא אלוהים את האור כי טוב. ויבדל אלוהים בין האור ובין החושך. ויקרא אלוהים לאור יום, ולחושך קרא לילה. ויהי ערב, ויהי בוקר, יום אחד. ויאמר אלוהים,
יהי רקיע בתוך המים, והיא מבדיל בין מים למים.
ויעש אלוהים את הרקיע, ויבדל בין המים אשר מתחת לרקיע, ובין המים אשר מעל לרקיע. ויהי כן. ויקרא אלוהים לרקיע שמיים. ויהי ערב, ויהי בוקר, יום שני. ויאמר אלוהים,
יקבעו המים מתחת השמיים אל מקום אחד, ותראה היבשה.
ויהי כן. ויקרא אלוהים ליבשה ארץ, ולמקווה המים קרא ימים. וירא אלוהים כי טוב. ויאמר אלוהים,
תדשא הארץ, דשא עשב, מזריע זרע, עץ פרי עושה פרי למינו, אשר זרעו בו על הארץ.
ויהי כן. ותוצא הארץ דשא, עשב מזריע זרע למינהו, ועץ עושה פרי, אשר זרעו בו למינהו. וירא אלוהים כי טוב. ויהי ערב, ויהי בוקר, יום שלישי. ויאמר אלוהים,
יהי מאורות ברקיע השמיים, להבדיל בין היום ובין הלילה, והיו לאותות ולמועדים, ולימים ושנים, והיו למאורות ברקיע השמיים, להאיר על הארץ.
ויהי כן. ויעש אלוהים את שני המאורות הגדולים, את המאור הגדול לממשלת היום, ואת המאור הקטון לממשלת הלילה, ואת הכוכבים. ויתן אותם אלוהים ברקיע השמיים להאיר על הארץ, ולמשול ביום ובלילה, ולהבדיל בין האור ובין החושך. וירא אלוהים כי טוב. ויהי ערב, ויהי בוקר, יום רביעי. ויאמר אלוהים,
ישרצו המים, שרץ, נפש חיה, ועוף יעופף על הארץ, על פני רקיע השמיים.
ויברא אלוהים את התנינים הגדולים, ואת כל נפש החיה הרומסת, אשר שרצו המים למיניהם, ואת כל עוף כנף למינהו. וירא אלוהים כי טוב. ויברך אותם אלוהים לאמור,
פרו ורבו, ומילאו את המים בימים, והעוף ערב בארץ.
ויהי ערב, ויהי בוקר, יום חמישי. ויאמר אלוהים,
תוצא הארץ נפש חיה למינה, בהמה ורמס וחייתו ארץ למינה.
ויהי כן. ויעש אלוהים את חיית הארץ למינה, ואת הבהמה למינה, ואת כל רמס האדמה למינהו, וירא אלוהים כי טוב. ויאמר אלוהים,
נעשה אדם בצלמנו, כדמותנו, וירדו בדגת הים, ובעוף השמיים, ובבהמה, ובכל הארץ, ובכל הרמס הרומס על הארץ.
ויברא אלוהים את האדם בצלמו, בצלם אלוהים ברא אותו, זכר ונקבה ברא אותם. ויברך אותם אלוהים, ויאמר להם אלוהים,
פרו ורבו ומילאו את הארץ, וכבשוה, ורדו בדגת הים, ובעוף השמיים, ובכל חיה הרומסת על הארץ.
ויאמר אלוהים,
הנה נתתי לכם את כל עשב זורע זרע אשר על פני כל הארץ, ואת כל העץ אשר בו פרי עץ זורע זרע, לכם יהיה לאוכלה. ולכל חיית הארץ, ולכל עוף השמיים, ולכל רומס על הארץ אשר בו נפש חיה, את כל ירק עשב לאוכלה.
ויהי כן. וירא אלוהים את כל אשר עשה, והנה טוב מאוד. ויהי ערב, ויהי בוקר, יום השישי.
All right. So, one of the just key chapters in the whole Bible, so much of Genesis 1 is picked up throughout the Old Testament and in the New. So, wanted to just make a couple of observations about biblical theology before we dive in to translating. And let's see if I can get this. One of the things that really strikes me about Genesis 1:1 is how it's picked up in the New Testament. In the beginning, he created, and of course, he is singular, but then the subject of who the he is Elohim in the plural. I wonder if John isn't picking that up. In the beginning was the Word was toward the God, and the Word was God. This was in the beginning with God. I mean, could that be his exegesis of these three words? All things were made through him. Of course, heaven and earth is another way of saying all things. In the beginning, Elohim created all things. And is this John's commentary there? Without him, there came about not one thing. I love this passage from the Psalms. What is it? Psalm 51. David, when he is confessing his sin with Bathsheba and having murdered Uriah, he says, Lave Tahor, a pure heart, create for me, O Elohim. O Elohim, just like you created the heavens and the earth, if I'm ever going to be a good person, create for me a pure heart. I wonder if John 1, what came about in him was Zoe, and the Zoe was the light of men. I mean, is this, the world was tohu vabohu, universally negative things, and Choshek was on the face of the Tehom, the abyss, until the Ruach Elohim, as it was hovering over the waters, prepared the way for God to say, "Let there be light." Of course, Paul picks up that same idea, and where is that? 2 Corinthians 4:6. The God, the one saying, from darkness, light will shine. And then I guess you add the word is the one who enlightened in our hearts for the enlightenment of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Christ Jesus. I mean, is Paul reading this is kind of foreshadowing the salvation of believers? I wonder. It seems very interesting that both John and Paul are seeing more than just what seems to lie on the surface with these words. Also, in this, you've got a really weird thing that happens that some Jewish interpreters have pointed out, in that God creates the world with 10 phrases. Vayomer Elohim, and God said, and God said. The only time that's different is the 9th time, and to them Elohim said. And some people have pointed out that, of course, in the Hebrew Bible, the 10 Commandments are called the 10 words. I think Sailhammer makes this point. Let's see, in which book is it? I guess, I'm not sure what that work is. Sailhammer's Expository Bible Commentary. God creates the universe with 10 words. God gives 10 words at Sinai. Some have argued that when God's decreating the world, he decreates it with 10 words. That seems less clear to me because it's not the same words. Of course, the 10 Commandments are called the 10 words, and then you have God decreating, Egypt to get it back to the primordial time when God divides the waters of the abyss and brings forth dry land. Of course, as always, on my Patreon supporters have access to these documents. It's very interesting if you do an exegetical outline of this passage. Excuse me. How much symmetry there is. And God said. It seems almost formulaic. Let there be light. It was so. It was so. God saw that it was good. Of course, the only day that he doesn't say that is day 2, which makes you kind of wonder, why is it? Excuse me. To do an exegetical outline, you just take a tool like Logos or Accordance, something like that, and paste it in and then line it up, and you can see the incredible kind of almost formulaic God saw the light, God divided, God made the rakia, God divided, God called, God saw. So interesting things there just in terms of the exegetical outline. And I think that those are all the... if I had thought about it, I would have pulled up the document that talked about days. You've got day 1. Then you've got usually translated day 2, but it doesn't say that. It says a second day. Notice it's not the day 2. But when you get toward the end, it is the 6th day, I think. Yeah, the day God made man, that Friday, the 6th day. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, day the 6th. So that's, a second day, a third day, a fourth day, a fifth day, the 6th day. And then the 7th day, 3 times it says the 7th day. So not sure what's going on there. It is interesting to me that none of the English translations, or at least the ones that I come to mind right now, preserve that. They just do day 1, the second day, but that 2 through 5 doesn't have the definite article. So last thing we want to do, as always, is just quickly translate this. And let me get this where I can bring the textual apparatus up if we need it. So in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Some debate whether this could be a construct in the beginning of Elohim creating. It is spelled exactly the same way in construct. It's listed in ACOT as a construct. If you do it as not a construct, in the beginning, Elohim created. The earth, or I think Sailhammer argues for the land here. Of course, this is used of the land of Israel, but it's also used of the earth. The earth was tohu vabohu, universally negative. The land, after it's been judged in Jeremiah, I think, is described as tohu vabohu. Choshek, universally negative. On the faces of the Tehom. I do have it here. If we look at the Septuagint here, really interesting feature. Should have had this up. Notice that it's the abyss. So that's the place where in the Gadarene demoniac story, the demons are terrified. They don't want Jesus to send them to the abyss. Translated in the New Testament by a lot of translations, the bottomless pit. That's what that means in Greek. On the faces of the Tehom, the Ruach Elohim, so either the wind of Elohim, or more likely the spirit of Elohim, was hovering. If we do look up this word elsewhere, you can see it's used in Deuteronomy like an eagle that flutters over its young. So I wonder if that's like a loving thing here. I think the Targum translates it attacks or something like that. The spirit was attacking the water. If that's the right way to see it, then this could be connected with the Red Sea event, where the wind is blowing back the deadly waters in dry land. It appears it seems possible to me that it could be both those things, kind of a polyvalent illusion. Elohim said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God Elohim saw the light that it was good. Elohim separated between the light and between the darkness. All of this is religious language when it's used elsewhere. In fact, a lot of it is temple language. The veil separates. God separates his people from those who are profane, divided between the light and between the Hoshek. God called to the light day, and to the Hoshek he called Layla. That's a very poetic thing where you see the order and then the order reversed. Verb, subject, la, verb. I don't know what you call it, but it's kind of an inverted order. And there was evening and there was morning, day one. So that's a cardinal number, and the rest are going to be ordinals. Elohim said, let there be a rakia in the midst of the waters. Big debate what the rakia is. If we do a search on this, here I'll pull it down. You've got the mentions here. And then in Ezekiel, where Ezekiel is seeing the heavenly creatures, and what's separating him from where God is this rakia. And that's again in 10. The rakia declares the glory of God. Daniel 12 talks about the rakia. A lot of debate what this might be. It seems to me that if you ask what the first audience thought, and I'll just ask the question here, if you were part of that first group of people hearing Moses describe this, and he talks about the violent. If we really dove into this word, there's violence implied. I think it's translated elsewhere like stomping. If you ask the first people who heard this, where do you have a violent event that happens to water and then dry land appears? And I think if you, a moment's reflection, you'll say, well, that's the crossing of the Red Sea. It's dark. The Ruach of God is there. The words Tehom are there, and Yabashah appears. Of course, all these words appear in this section. So it seems to me that, to argue like a concrete dome or something, I think missing the illusion myself, but you be the judge. Let there be a rakia in the midst of the waters, and let it be a thing causing separation. So this is actually going to be a hiphil participle. Let it be constantly separating between the waters and the waters. And I wonder if that participle isn't implying that the rakia touches both the upper waters and the lower waters. I think if you step back and look at a whole Bible of biblical theology, it's going to be clear, and I can probably pull this up. Let me put that back out of the way. If you go to the New Testament and go to Revelation 15:1, I saw a sea of crystal, a crystal sea having been mixed with fire. So this is a heavenly, thing that John's seeing. He, unlike Ezekiel, is on the other side of it. He's gone through, and I think Bart, connects Jesus with this rakia thing. I don't always agree, and often hardly ever agree with Bart, but I think he may be right there that this rakia is somehow in the whole Bible connected with crossing this heavenly barrier. I think Augustine talked about the rakia as the separation between physical reality and spiritual reality. I wonder if that's probably not right, or I think that is right, is what I should say. And so God is making salvific space. You can think of it that way, and the rakia is what's holding back the abyss. The rakia is making salvific space, which will take God's people all the way to restored Eden, and for a time will even create salvific space for those who don't end up in Eden, like it created salvific space for a time for the Egyptians until God removed the barrier and the abyss came and wiped them out. And Elohim made the rakia, and it's a little unclear to me whether it's God caused it to divide or whether it's the rakia. I think you could maybe argue either way. I probably lean that it's the rakia. God made the rakia and it caused a separation between the waters from from underneath the rakia and between the waters which were from upon the rakia. And it was so. Of course, the Septuagint can't abide the fact that day 2 doesn't have, and God saw that it was good, and so the Septuagint adds it here. You probably want to see that. You don't have to take my word. Let there be a hardness, a stereoma. The same word in the New Testament, the stereoma of your faith. I forget how it's translated there, but the hardness, the certainty or surety of your faith, something like that. And let it be a thing dividing. So they are doing it as a participle. And God saw that it was good. So the Septuagint has that, but it's not in the Hebrew. And Elohim called to the rakia, so notice your "the" there, to the rakia Shemayim. And there was evening and morning a second day, and Elohim said, let waters be gathered from underneath the heavens. And it's really interesting to me in the Septuagint, it says, and God said, let the water be synagogued into one synagogue. So you wonder if, like, they're seeing, I don't know, some kind of theological symbolism there into one place, which doesn't that imply that the waters weren't collected before, if they're gathered after the separation? And let Yahweh appear. Of course, that's going to be picked up elsewhere with, crossing the Red Sea, crossing the Jordan with Joshua, crossing the Jordan with Elijah, crossing the Jordan with Elisha, perhaps looking forward to the baptism of Jesus at that same place. And Elohim called to the Yabashah Eretz and to the mikvah of waters, to the collection of waters, he called seas. And Elohim saw that it was good. And Elohim said, let the land, and this always is hard for me, but you've got a cognate accusative, let it desha a desha, esev marzria zera. So these are all technical terms, and if we go with akot, they'll do vegetation, so let it bring forth vegetation, and then it's going to say what kind of vegetation it is. Plants, seeding seed, another cognate accusative, you've got a hiphil participle. A tree, a fruit, making fruit, to his kind, so going back to tree, which his seed is in it on the earth, and it was so. So the land brought forth Desha, Esav Mazria Zerah, to his kind, a tree making fruit, which its seed is in it, according to its kind, and God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning, a third day. So another ordinal, no definite article. And Elohim said, let there be lights in the rakia. And of course, this is all religious language, and I wish I had the document up, but almost verbatim, this sentence occurs in Solomon's description of the temple when he puts the menorah, the little menorahs in. It almost follows this exact same thing. Put the menorahs in the inside the temple, so that let there be lights in the rakia of heavens. And then another separation to separate between the day and between the night, and let them be for lights, for seasons, for days, and for years. And of course, this is going to be a religious word, so it's like God's building, the universe is a tabernacle, and he's putting the religious elements there. And let them be for lights in the rakia of the heavens, to give light on the Aretz, and it was so. And Elohim made the two lights, the two big lights, the light, the great one, for a dominion of the day, and the light, the little one, for a dominion of the night. And then in the stars has to be parallel, the two lights. So made the two lights and he made the stars instead of being dominion over the night and the stars. So this has to be parallel here. So, and God made the stars. And God gave them in the rakia. I think that's verbatim. Again, that's Solomon, where Solomon gives the menorah in the temple, very temple-like language. In the rakia of the heavens, to give lights on the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate between light and between the darkness. And God saw that it was good. Evening, there was evening and there was morning, a fourth day. Then we have verse 20, and Elohim said, let waters swarm a swarm, a nefesh hayah. So I guess the whole thing is a nefesh hayah. Birds, and then this is a strange binyan, and it may be because it's a gemnit, polale. That same binyan is used. Well, here, let me look it up and see if I can pull it up quickly. That same binyan is used in the polale. It's used in Isaiah 6. You can see it there. Yofef, and I wonder if it isn't implying some kind of, movement like that. I mean, I can't prove that, but it does seem strange, and seems strange that those snake-like burning figures in the heavenly temple are flittering or flying around that same way. Let the bird flitter around or fly around on the earth, on the faces of the rakia of the heavens. And Elohim Barad, the great Tananim. Okay, so this is a weird word. When you look at it, it's translated serpents here. The staff, threw the staff down and it became a serpent. In fact, it's translated great serpents. He'll slay the dragon, which is in the heart of the sea. And this is great creature. So I'm not convinced that we should translate it as sea creatures. I think the Septuagint, here, hang on a second. I think I've got my thing messed up a little bit. Does it translate? Let there be lights in the stereoma. Sorry, I should be quicker at this. Yeah, they're translating Herpta. So I don't know. I don't know how you should translate that, but it seems strange to me. I'm not sure that it's talking about God creating whales there. I'm going to translate it the Great Tananim and keep reading to try to figure out what that is. And the whole Nefesh Hayah creeping, which is really strange, so that's your feminine participle. It's strange because this is going to be the word, I think it's the word used. Well, here, don't take my word for it. Let's look it up. Is it used? Of the serpent in the story of the fall? No, it's not. Yeah. So I don't know. But the whole Nefesh Hayah creeping thing, the creeping thing, which the waters swarm after their kind, and every bird of wing after its kind, God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful, multiply, fill the waters in the sea, and let the bird become great on the earth." And there was evening and morning, a fourth day. And Elohim said, "Let the earth bring forth." And I always want to make that, a participle, but it's not. It's actually a hiphil imperfect. And it's a hiphil imperfect because it's a weak verb, yatsah. And so this is where your yod goes to, and this is the hiphil. God said, "Let the earth cause to bring forth a living soul according to its kind, a beast, a creeping thing, a living creature of the land." So this is a leftover construct according to its kind, and it was so. And Elohim made the wild beast of the land according to her kind, so that's your feminine's formative, and the beast according to her kind, and all the creeping things of the earth according to his kind. And God saw that it was good. 26, and God said, let us make Adam in our image according to our likeness, and let them, so notice the Adam is turned into a them here, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, the bird of the heavens, over the beast, and over everything, and over the whole earth, and over the creeping upon the earth. And God created the Adam in his image. In the image of Elohim, he created him, male and female, he created them. And Elohim blessed them and said to them, Elohim did, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, kabosh it, have great dominion over it. Let me pull here, love akot, subdue it. Let them radah over the fish of the sea, over the bird of the heavens, and over all the living creatures creeping on the ground. And of course, this radah, when this is repeated, this is given to the man and his wife here. But when it's repeated in Genesis 9, it's only given to the men, and the kabosh and radah part is left off. That radah doesn't appear in this kind of thing again until we get in here. Let me pull this down until we get to Psalm 110, the matah of your strength. The Lord will send from Zion radah in the midst of your enemies, rule in the midst of your enemies. So fulfilling of the dominion mandate. 29, and Elohim said, behold, I give to you all the esev, all the, however you're going to translate that, herbs, all the edible foods, something like that, seeding seed, which is upon the face of all the aretz, and all the tree, which in it is the fruit of the tree, seeding seed, to you will be for food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and to all the bird of the heaven, and to all the to every creeping one on the earth, which nefesh hayah is in it, and all the, and I always have trouble with this word, and I'm not, oh, there it goes. So this is halot, all the greenery, yerek, greenery of, so I guess that's construct, for food it will be, and it was so. And God saw all which he did, and behold, tov me'od, very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. So it's interesting that he doesn't call any other day up to here the sixth day, and then he's going to do the seventh day 3 different times. So that's what I have. I hope you enjoy. If you're trying to keep your Hebrew up, make it your goal. First off, to read verse a day, then 2 verses. work up to where you can read a page. I think there are 1,600 pages in BHS. So if you can get to where you can read a page, what is that? Maybe 5 years it would take you. Get to where you can read 2 years. You'll read it through in 2.5 years. And then I think ultimately you want your goal, maybe 3 chapters a day, maybe a writings chapter. That's pretty easy. Maybe a prophets chapter, and then maybe the leftover books, some hard, some easy. That's what I do. You know, you're doing 3 chapters. I don't get to all 3 chapters every day, but if you do that, you're going to read through the Hebrew Bible on a regular basis, and you'll be amazed. Somebody once said the best commentary on the Bible is the Bible. You'll be amazed at how many problematic passages will start to resolve themselves if you just commit yourself to volume reading Greek and volume reading Hebrew. It's amazing how beautiful the meta-narrative will be. So that's what I have for you today. I hope you have a good rest of the day, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks.